is it possible that God doesn't ignore your pain, but he can use your pain? Is it possible that the most horrific moments in your life, the most tragic things that you've gone through, wasn't God abandoning you, but it was him positioning you? Is it possible that God wanted to reestablish what true faith looks like? What courage looks like? What resilience looks like? Sometimes you need a marker that shows you you're stronger than you know. You see, there's just two misconceptions that I want to talk to you about today. And the first one is this. It's this misconception that we have about God, that God does not care about my pain. That he's indifferent. It's irrelevant to him. Because if he cared, if he actually saw what I was going through, he would pull me out of it. That's the misconception, but here's the truth of the matter. God wants to bring purpose to your pain. See, the pain is coming no matter what. But it's only in his hands he can take the ashes and turn it into beauty. He can take the shrapnel, the pieces, the broken pieces of your life and remind you that there's a new story that he wants to tell. See, he can bring purpose to your pain, but the only way you'll find purpose is if you actually invite the source of purpose into your life. See, we think God doesn't care about our pain, but it could be that he cares more about helping you position yourself so others can see the beauty and the wonder and the freedom on the other side of your pain. We have so many kids, I don't remember which one this was. I'm going to be honest. It's going to be straight up. But we're in the hospital giving birth. And by we, I mean my wife, Beck, and I was a great support system. And we're in the hospital, and Beck was about 6.5 centimeters dilated. Guys, you don't need to know what that means. All right, don't worry about it. All that means is it's like getting close to go time. Things are moving, things are progressing, and they're like, baby can come at any moment now. And baby was in position, ready, and then they come and they check, and not a lot's been moving, not a lot's been advancing. And then they start to get a little worried because they're like, we need to see what's happening. So they come in, bring an ultrasound, and they find out that the baby has flipped and is now breached. Baby was head down, 6.5 centimeters dilated, and now all of a sudden, still 6.5 centimeters dilated, but now baby's flipped. And they're like, well, we're a little worried because if she's breached, then it means that we might need a C-section. And my wife is like, there's like a couple words in our house that we don't use, right? We don't cuss in our house, we don't swear in our house, and we don't use the C word, C-section. Never used it. And Martha's like, no, absolutely not. And I'm like, hey, babe, it's a healthy baby. That's all that matters. She's like, shh, shh. Yes, ma'am. And all of our kids, she was like, I do not want to have a C-section. I do not want to have a C-section. And they're coming in, like, you're going to need to have a C-section. And they said, well, there's one possibility, is that we can try to flip the baby manually. And she's like, let's do it. So they go in, and it's 2 doctors, and it's like the craziest, like, deep tissue massage I've ever seen. They're literally on her stomach, and they're flipping the baby. One person has where they think the head could be, and they're turning it. The other has the bottom, they're turning it. And I see and it's like, you could see the imprint of their hands. And I'm just like, oh, that's so painful. And they're doing it and flipping it, and about 4 or 5 minutes, they're doing this, and they go, all right, we don't know if it worked, we'll see. And they come back, and they say, we'll give you 30 minutes. Because if things don't shift, we're going to have this C-section. And my wife goes, okay, that's all I need. And she goes, babe, turn on worship. I said, okay. And I turn on worship music, and I start trying to talk. How you feeling? Shh. And her eyes are closed. She's not saying a word. You ever been around somebody that they're not saying a word, but they're like saying so much? And like, she is having a moment, her and Jesus and her and the baby. And in 30 minutes, it's just her just listening. And I look over it and she's exhausted and tired. And I just see her hand go up and she's worshiping. And I see her mouth, she's praying. And right before this happened, our doctor, who's Jewish and doesn't believe in God, is always making fun of us because we believe in Jesus. And, as she leaves, she says, the only hope you have is to start praying. But you ever heard somebody said something, but they didn't really mean it? It was like condescending. Like, oh, it's the only hope you have, you better start praying. I was like, you don't even know what you just activated. Oh my, she said it. Beck just starts praying. And then they come in and they do an ultrasound and find out that the baby flipped. And in over a decade of our nurses and our doctors saying that they had been treating babies and moms and delivering, they had never had a situation where a baby was in position to be delivered at 6.5 centimeters, flip, and then flip back. They've never seen it before. And I wonder, is it possible that some of the most terrible things that we have to go through, it's not that purpose wasn't there, it's that we didn't have the eyes to see it? Is it possible that God is wanting to position us, not just so that our lives are better, so that we can be a source of hope for the people all around us? So when Paul and Silas are in the middle of this cell, I love this little line that it says, and the other prisoners were listening to them. See, people are watching how you live. See, when you're going through the worst season of your life, and if you especially are somebody who's connected to the person of Jesus, I promise you people are looking at how you live, not in the highs, but in the valleys. Not when everything is going perfect, but when all hell has broken loose. Then maybe it's that God is trying to just get us in position so that people can see there's hope in the midst of our pain, in the midst of our struggle.